Do you struggle with saying no, either because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings or you feel obligated? In this video, I'm going to talk about how to say no without feeling guilty. So first, I'm going to talk about some alternatives that you may be using instead of saying no, just to be polite, just to be nice, and why these alternatives don't work. And then the 3-step process for saying no. The first alternative is you say yes when in your heart you know that it should be a no. And the first thing that can happen is you follow through with your yes, but your passion is just not there. And when you're not passionate about something, then you become emotionally, mentally, physically drained, and you're not showing up with your best self. And additionally, the other person can usually tell. We can usually tell when somebody else is not passionate about something. The second thing that happens is you say yes, you follow through, and then you start to resent either the other person because you did say yes and it's this demand on your time or your resources, or something else because it's not something that you really wanted to say yes to. So you actually start to resent them, or you start to resent the thing that you said yes to. And we, of course, don't show up as our best selves whenever we are feeling resentful. And sometimes you start to resent yourself because you know that you have no one to blame for saying yes except for yourself. Brazilian author Paulo Coelho is quoted as saying, "Be sure that when you say yes to others, that you're not saying no to yourself." Being nice and respectful to other people does not mean that you need to devalue and disrespect yourself in the process. Next, you may say yes if it's a task they asked you to do or some time that they asked you for, and you're trying to jam pack it in with all of the other stuff that you've got going on. You're not going to be able to do it well. So what happens then is you have disappointed the other person and you've frustrated yourself. Or perhaps you say yes, and then you back out later. You make some excuse or you have some kind of reason for backing out later. And when you think about it, all of these yeses that you've given the other person have not resulted in your best self, has not resulted in your best yes. So what happens is not only do you disappoint the other person, but you really disappoint and frustrate yourself in the process. Perhaps you don't say yes, but your go-to response is maybe or I'll try. And this is hardly ever a good response for several reasons. First of all, you're really leaving the other person hanging. They don't know if your answer is yes or no. And if you start to say it a lot, you're in this reputation for not committing. And then people just assume it's kind of just this flaky no. I've actually got a video above and in the description below that talks more about the reasons why you shouldn't say, I'll try. The third alternative to saying no is when you just say, let me think about that. Now, if you really want to say, let me think about that, because you really are going to think about it, then go back to the person with your answer. Don't wait for them to come to you and say, what did you decide? So initiate a response to them. Don't make them come to you. Because when you do that, you're really putting them in an awkward position. And sometimes they won't bring it up again because they feel awkward about it. So now let's talk about, how do you say no? 3 things to remember. First of all, if the person has shown kindness to you in this request, say for instance, they have invited you somewhere, invited you to go do something, be kind to them in return and thank them for the invitation. Even if it's something that you know you shouldn't do, even if it's something that you're not really interested in doing, it's always nice to be included. So thank them for that. And number 2, be direct in your response. If you have a reason for saying no, just be direct and give them your reason. If it's something that you really don't have a reason, or something that you really don't feel comfortable telling them the reason, just say, this is not something I'm able to do. Don't go into a long story, a long reason, or a long justification as to why you're saying no. When you do that, it makes it either look like you're a victim and that's the reason why you can't do it, or it looks like you're trying to justify it. And that's never a place of confidence. And a lot of times, they don't want to hear the long story anyway. They just want an answer. And thirdly, this is a really important one, and that is be kind to the person after the no. If it's somebody that you want to continue connecting with or continuing a relationship with, be so nice to them after the no. Don't treat them differently. A lot of times we feel awkward when we've said no. And so the next time that we see or we talk to the person, we're reminded of that awkwardness. And so we start acting awkward around them. And then what happens is they feel that awkwardness and they think that it's something having to do with them, when really it's all about the fact that we feel awkward because we've said no. So no matter how awkward you feel, continue to treat them with respect and kindness. You will have a better relationship with them and you'll actually feel better about the situation yourself. If you have liked this video, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel.